Okay, here's how you nest your seams on the back of your quilt. You can see that right here on the penny patch right here, I pressed all my seams open just like was recommended. And then once you have your blocks, you're going to sew them together in a row. Now, the way I do it is I always put a label on the edge of my row with a sticky note and a pin. And I already took them out, but I did take pictures before. But they look like this. It says like row 4, left to right, row 5, left to right, and I just stick it in the first block so I know that this is the leftmost block and it's going this way and it's row 5 or whatever. I have them all labeled like that, and I keep them labeled the whole time that I'm assembling the quilt top together. That way I know exactly what's what row and I never forget. And I always stick the sticky note on the block like this, and then I always pin it too, so that it never falls off or anything. Okay, so now you've made all your blocks and you're assembling your rows, which I know you've already done a few of them, but you're going to have to press them. And what I always do is I press all of my rows that are odd numbered, like 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 for this quilt. I always press all the seams going to the left. And then I always press my even seams, 2, 4, 6, and 8, and I have them labeled so I know which is which. I always press that to the right. It doesn't make a difference if you press all your odd ones to the right and your even ones to the left. Just make sure it's alternating in rows. And then you can see it here on the back of my quilt. So all of these seams in this row were pressed this direction, and then all the seams in this row were pressed this direction. So they're opposite, and then this goes the other way and this goes that way. So then when you join your rows up to sew them together like this, can you see it right here? You have one seam going one way and the other seam going the other way. When you pin them together to sew them, the rows together, you just add a pin right here. Then you come up to the next section and they nest together. You can feel it with your finger. You've got one seam going one way and the other seam going the other way. Stick a pin in it. Now, here's something important that I wish I'd known when I first started quilting. Make sure that if you have any excess fabric here, like it's a little bit baggier on one side than on the other, all you do is you take your fingers like this. You've already pinned these two seams. You pull it tight like this, because the fabric has something called ease. You pull it tight like this so that the fabric lays flat. I just move my fingers up like this, kind of grab it, hold it right here really tightly, stick a pin in the middle of it, and that will pull out whatever excess fabric you have, and then I just pin here, pin here, pin here, pin here, and then I have my fabric nice and tight together with no gaps on either side. And you just do that, continue pinning all the way down, and remember, you can always, if one side is slightly bigger than the other side, as far as the rows go, just pull between the two seams after you've pinned it. It's really important to pin at the seams first so that that doesn't move at all. But just pin it and then pull it tight, and that's called something like ease, I think. And you just put more pins in it and it makes it straight.